The Moist Meter is proudly presented by us, me, and our comic book series Godslap and Plague Seeker. Issue 4 of Godslap just dropped. You can find it for sale at badegg.co. Now, getting into the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at Blue Beetle. I'll go ahead and be upfront and honest right away because lying is a sin and sin is gross, and I don't want to be gross. I don't have high expectations when I go into a superhero film anymore. I feel like I always know what's coming. I know what to expect. It's the same dish I'm getting served every time for the most part. It feels like most superhero films are algorithmically driven, made following the exact same formula, just copying each other's homework. So, going into Blue Beetle, I thought I knew exactly what I was going to get. And it turns out I was right. I got pretty much exactly what I was expecting for the most part. But that doesn't mean it's bad. I don't think Blue Beetle is bad by any means at all, but this is a movie that you'll watch and you'll recognize, damn, this is just like every other superhero film that's come out recently because it just borrows all of the same shit, even down to like identical scenes from other superhero films. But like I said, I don't think it's horrible by any means. I don't think it's a bad movie. Let's just go ahead and dive into it. I think the best part of the film is actually the family element to it. So Blue Beetle, the main character, Jaime, he and his family are a very core component to the story. And when they're on screen together, I actually think the movie's at its best. They are fun. There's great chemistry with every member of the family, and they're all really enjoyable on screen. George Lopez actually does a really good job delivering the comedic bits, and make no mistake, this movie is not light on comedic bits at all. Even during the most intense situations, like murder, they're still cracking jokes about it. So this is a film that very much does not take itself seriously, but there is one scene in particular where they did try and be very emotional, and they fucking nailed it. Like, there's a very emotional scene, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but every character around that scene, everyone in that moment, crushed it. And it actually made me mad because if they had focused on maybe doing something a little different with a superhero movie, making it actually emotional and maybe a little more hard hitting as opposed to just falling back on the same tired, quirky, quippy, non-stop, light-hearted, joking characters that every superhero movie follows now, I think it would have been much better. Like, instead of just having so many scenes where a character's like, bro, I just took a luxury dump in that toilet, fist bump, like, instead of having every character have all of those moments and have every scene be filled with jokes, if they had instead just really doubled down on being a little more hardcore and having scenes like that one I mentioned, I think this could have been a really great film, or at least a much better one. Especially because they do have elements that would really lend itself well to it. The main villain that Blue Beetle keeps squaring off against is basically just Robot Man when he's fighting, but when he's not fighting, he's a pretty interesting character who has a tragic backstory that I think they really could have expanded upon and fleshed him out and made like a really interesting piece with Blue Beetle and his family and that guy, and I don't want to get into spoilers, but his situation. I think they could have done so much more and made it a lot more unique as opposed to just unrelenting AI generated jokes that they just constantly throw in your face every single second on screen. Anyway, the plot is exactly what you've seen in other superhero films before. It is the same kind of recycled plot you're used to where evil corporation has super secret weapon and it ends up in the hands of the most unexpected person to have it, our main character, who just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and the Scarab, which is a world-destroying weapon, chooses him as the host. Evil corporation's obviously not too thrilled about it. They want it back, so they start threatening his family, trying to track him down, then send out their big bad robot killer guy. And there's a main villain behind the robot killer, and I already forgot her name. I'm not going to lie to you. I know her last name's Cord because that's the name of the company. I think her name was like Vivian Cord or Vicky or some shit. I don't know. But that just goes to show you how forgettable of a character she is, which is a shame because I think the actress is very talented, but she was given actual urinal cakes to work with on this one. Her material is bad. The way that this villain is written is like the way a Saturday morning cartoon would write a quick villain for a single episode. She just says the standard tropey evil shit like sacrifices must be made, and we have to make weapons because weapons make us money, and we like money. And also she's like racist. So the character, she doesn't really have any interesting features about herself. She is actually a caricature of an evil person. And she's not really the one they keep squaring off against. She just happens to show up and order people around like, can you please kill him because I need money? And he has the super secret world-destroying weapon that I'm going to use for money and machines, or weapons. So please, can we kill him now? So I thought she was super lame. Definitely the robot killing assassin guy was the star on the evil side. And now I would like to give a bit of praise here to the visuals because I actually think this is one of DC's better looking movies in terms of its CGI. DC's become synonymous with dog shit CGI. They have really fumbled when it comes to its visuals over the last 10 or so years. They've had some like garbage CGI in a lot of their movies. This one though, I think is pretty good looking, aside from a couple of scenes that got a little wonky, but aside from that, I thought all of the visuals were pretty good looking, and I enjoyed the action scenes here. However, there was not many of them. I really would have liked if they explored the suit's ability to create any weapon that the host can dream up. I would have liked if they explored that a bit more, because he basically just makes air blasters. He makes force pushes, basically. Handheld force pushes. So you just blast, 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 blast. And then when they are about to make cool weapons like swords, he's like, no, wait a minute, pump the brakes. That's gonna hurt somebody. That could kill someone. No sword, just give me more air blasters. And it's like, ugh, just roll your eyes. It's like, Jesus Christ. But I am happy to say in the trailer, this isn't a spoiler, so it's in the trailer, he does make a giant sword, which ends up being very cool. I just would have liked if they explored that power a bit more with more creativity behind it, as opposed to just making air blasters forever. But yeah, the visuals I thought were definitely an improvement over previous DC movies. Now, I mentioned the family is actually the best part, but there's something I need to mention about the family. It leads to a big tonal inconsistency between Blue Beetle and the family. And let me explain what I mean. And I don't think it's intentional, by the way. So they're very tight-knit, they're very close. Blue Beetle even has like a very tropey anime moment where the bad guy says, your love for your family makes you weak. And he says, no, my love for my family, that's what makes me strong. And it's supposed to be very much they are a tight unit. But the family couldn't be more different from Blue Beetle in how they handle the overall narrative. So Blue Beetle is like fucking Batman, I guess, who is completely opposed to killing. I don't know enough about Blue Beetle as a character in the comics to really opine on that, but there is a scene very early on when he's learning the suit where it's about to kill some of the bad guys that are threatening his family, and he makes a point to say, no killing, I'm not a killer. So then he instead just shock blasts them, gets them with like an air blaster, and his family, however, does not share that same belief. His family kills so many people. George Lopez in particular piles up corpses. He impales a man, literally impales a guy, and he makes a joke about it. His grandmother has a Gatling gun, and she just chops up, peppers 8 different dudes, murdering them in cold blood. And then she makes a joke about it, all while Blue Beetle watches. And even he's like cheering her on, like, wow, you really fucked them up. That's great. And he's smiling and, happy about it. But meanwhile, the entire movie has already solidified him as someone who is totally against killing, but he's absolutely fine watching his family kill. I don't know, that just seemed like a bit of an oversight. Like, at that point, why not just have Blue Beetle okay with killing in the first place? Overall, though, like I said, it's not a bad movie by any means, but it's a movie that follows the same superhero formula you're used to seeing at this point. So, if you like the standard superhero movie, you'll most likely really enjoy Blue Beetle. And like I said, this is one of DC's better looking movies visually. So, plugging Blue Beetle into the Moist Meter, I'm just going to give it a nice 60%. I didn't dislike it, but I am just very exhausted from superhero films that aren't bothering to even try to do things differently and make things a little more unique. When I do think Blue Beetle had the opportunity to, and had the talent to as well. Everyone did a really great job, like in their performance. I think the acting in this movie is very good, and they showed that they can deliver really great emotional beats. So it's just a real shame to see that none of that was really utilized outside of one scene. But anyway, that's about it for the Moist Meter. But I do want to mention that we are still selling tickets to the Moist Esports Live Watch Party on September 8th, 9th, and 10th. Tickets are available at the StrazCenter.com website. I'll put a link to it in the description below. Basically, it's a big party, a moist fest where we're going to watch our esports team compete in the World Championship for Apex Legends and hopefully take home the trophy, as well as just make it a nice, fun atmosphere, meet and greet, all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in attending, it's an in-person event from the 8th to the 10th. Tickets for sale now.